I got to Roosevelt High School on a Tuesday morning in early June. First real day of summer break, which meant the building was mine for the week. Maybe two if the work dragged. I pulled into the back lot around 7:30 and sat there for a minute, finishing my coffee. The school looked exactly how I expected. Old red brick, 3 stories, narrow windows with that reinforced glass they stopped making sometime in the 80s. The kind of place that's been patched and painted over so many times you can't tell what's original anymore. A few saplings planted near the entrance, probably part of some green initiative. They looked kind of sad. I've been doing maintenance for the district for 8 years now. You get a sense for buildings pretty quick. Roosevelt was old enough to have problems hiding in weird places. Pipes that don't line up with the blueprints anymore. Ductwork that got rerouted 40 years ago, and nobody bothered updating the drawings. I figured I'd find at least one thing that wasn't on Ember's list. That's usually how it goes. I grabbed my toolbox from the bed of the truck and headed for the main entrance. Ember Farrell was already there, standing just inside the double doors with her arms crossed. She had on a gray blazer and dark slacks, her ID lanyard hanging perfectly straight. Her hair was pulled back tight. She looked ready to run a meeting or fire someone, probably both. "Barry," she said. "Morning." She didn't waste time. "That's Ember." She pulled a folded printout from her blazer pocket and handed it over. "Leak near the boys' locker room," she said. "Probably a supply line. Check the air handlers on the 2nd and 3rd floors. Sign off on the boiler room and electrical panel so we can clear the gym for summer programs." I unfolded the paper. It was a work order with about 6 bullet points. Pretty standard stuff. "When do the programs start?" I asked. "June 19th. 2.5 weeks. That's plenty of time." "It's tight if you find something major," she said. "So don't find something major." I didn't laugh. She wasn't joking. "Wayne Meyer will meet you here each morning to unlock," Ember continued. "He'll do a walkthrough with you. Doors, alarms, basic security checks. He knows you're here, but he still has to verify the building every day. District policy." "Sure. Any questions?" I glanced at the list again. "This the only access point? Main entrance or the loading dock on the west side? Wayne has keys for both. Don't prop doors open. Don't disable alarms. If you need after-hours access, call him first." "Got it." Ember checked her watch. It was one of those slim silver ones that probably cost more than my toolbox. "I'll be at the district office if you need anything. Email first. Call if it's urgent." She gave me a look that suggested I better know the difference. "Finish the locker room leak first. That's priority." "Okay." She left without saying anything else. The doors swung shut behind her, and I stood there in the empty hallway with my toolbox and the printout. The building smelled like floor wax, and that specific kind of stillness you only get in schools during summer. No kids, no voices, just the hum of the HVAC system kicking on somewhere above me. I took a breath and got to work. Wayne showed up the next morning right at 7:30. I was already in the parking lot, leaning against my truck and scrolling through my phone. He climbed out of a white district sedan and walked over. Tall guy, maybe 6'1", with a solid build and close-cropped black hair. He wore the standard security uniform, dark blue polo, black vest with pockets, radio clipped to his chest, keys on a retractable cord. He moved steady, not slow, not rushed, just even. "Barry," he said. "That's me." He nodded. "Wayne Meyer. I'll be letting you in." We shook hands. His grip was firm, but not trying to prove anything. "Ember said you're here all week," he said. "At least. Maybe more, depending on what I find." "Fair enough." He unlocked the main entrance and held the door while I carried my toolbox inside. The hallway stretched out in front of us, lockers on both sides, bulletin boards still covered with end-of-year flyers. One of them advertised prom. That was a month ago. Wayne pulled a small notebook from his vest pocket and clicked a pen. "I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough," he said. "Doors and alarms. You can come with or meet me back here. Up to you. I'll come, I said. Good to know the layout anyway. We started on the first floor. Wayne checked each exit door, making sure they were locked and the panic bars were working. He wrote something in his notebook at every stop. I followed along, getting a sense of the building. The hallways were wide but dim. Half the lights were off to save power. Our footsteps echoed. You do this every day? I asked. Every day there's someone in the building, Wayne said. Policy. Makes sense. We hit the stairwell and went up to the second floor. More classrooms, more lockers, a trophy case near the north end with dusty plaques and a couple of old basketballs. Wayne checked 3 more exits and the alarm panel near the counseling office. System's clean, he said. No alerts overnight. Good. Third floor was the same routine. Classrooms, exits, alarm panel. Everything locked, everything quiet. By the time we made it back to the first floor, I'd walked most of the building. I had a mental map now. Locker rooms in the southeast corner, gym adjacent, boiler room, and mechanical spaces in the basement. Wayne finished his notes and clipped the pen back to his vest. You need anything, just radio, he said. He tapped the portable clip to his belt. I'll be on campus most of the day, checking the other buildings, but I've got my phone. Sounds good. And if you're heading into the basement, let me know. It's a dead zone for cell signal. Will do. He left through the main entrance, and I heard his sedan pull away a minute later. After that, it was just me. I got to work on the leak. Found it right where Ember said. A supply line near the boys' locker room, old galvanized pipe with a pinhole weep. Not bad. I shut off the valve, cut out the bad section, and sweated in a new piece of copper. Took me most of the morning. The whole time I didn't see anyone. Didn't hear anything except the building settling and the occasional clunk from the HVAC. By lunch, I was done with the leak and halfway through checking the air handlers on the second floor. I ate a sandwich in my truck, scrolled through my phone, and went back inside. The rest of the day was routine. Filters, belts, a couple of loose access panels I tightened down. I signed off on 2 of the 3 air handlers by 4 and called it. Wayne met me at the main entrance to lock up. How'd it go? He asked. Good. Leak's fixed. Air handlers are mostly fine. Nice. We walked out together. He locked the door behind us, checked it twice, and wrote something in his notebook. See you tomorrow, he said. Yep. I drove home and didn't think much about it. Day 2 was almost the same. Wayne unlocked at 7:30. We did the walkthrough. Doors, alarms, everything clean. I finished the last air handler, checked the boiler room, and started going through the electrical panels. Old breakers, a few labels that didn't match the circuits anymore, but nothing dangerous. Just the usual aging building stuff. Wayne checked in around lunch. I was in the basement by then, tracing conduit and making notes on my clipboard. You good? He called down the stairs. Yeah, just mapping some of this out. All right, I'll be at the portables if you need me. He left. I kept working. The basement was cold and damp, the kind of space that never really dries out. Concrete floors, exposed pipes running overhead, wire cages around old storage. It smelled like mildew and rust. I didn't love it, but I've been in worse. I finished the panels by mid-afternoon and headed back upstairs. The building still felt too quiet. Not bad quiet, just empty. I locked up with Wayne at 4 and went home. 2 days. Smooth work. No problems. I should have known that wouldn't last. Day 3 started the same way. Wayne unlocked. We did the walkthrough. Everything looked normal. I spent the morning in the gym checking the ventilation and making sure the emergency exits weren't blocked. The gym was huge and old, with hardwood floors that creaked and those fold-up bleachers built into the walls. Banners hung from the rafters. District Champs 1997 felt like a long time ago. I grabbed lunch around noon and sat in my truck with the windows down. It was warm out. Not hot, just comfortable. I texted my buddy Mike about getting beers on Friday and scrolled through a couple of news articles I didn't really care about. When I got back inside, Wayne was waiting near the main entrance. He had his notebook out, but he wasn't writing. He looked like he was thinking something through. "Hey," I said. "Hey." He glanced up. "Got a second?" "Sure." He tapped the notebook with his pen. "Motion alarm in the basement tripped twice last night." I set my toolbox down. "Twice?" "Yeah, once around 11:40. Again at 2:15. "What did you find?" "Nothing," Wayne said. "I checked the logs this morning. System reset both times. No forced entry, no other alerts." I thought about that. Could be a sensor going bad. Could be. He didn't sound convinced. "You checked the basement this morning?" "I did the walkthrough. Doors were locked, didn't see anything out of place." "Probably just a faulty sensor then," I said. "Those things get touchy when they're old." Wayne nodded slowly. "Yeah, probably." But something in his voice made me pause. He didn't sound sure. And I realized, standing there in that quiet hallway with the hum of the HVAC above us, that I wasn't sure either. I picked up my toolbox. "I'll keep an eye out." "Appreciate it." He went back to his rounds, and I headed for the stairs. But the whole way down, I kept thinking about those two alarms. 11:40, 2:15. Middle of the night. Nobody in the building. This routine assignment might not stay routine. Wayne was waiting for me inside the main entrance when I got back from lunch. Day 3, just past noon, and the hallway had that weird, suspended quiet schools get when nobody's using them. He had his notebook out but wasn't writing in it. Just standing there with it in one hand, thinking something through. "Got a second?" he said. I set my toolbox down. "Yeah, what's up?" He flipped back a page in the notebook. "Basement motion alarm tripped twice last night. Once at 11:40, again at 2:15. I waited. "System reset automatically both times," Wayne said. "No forced entry, no other alerts. I checked the basement this morning during walkthrough. Doors were locked, nothing looked disturbed." "Sensor probably went touchy," I said. "Old buildings, old sensors. Happens." Wayne nodded, but he didn't look convinced. He pulled his phone out, tapped it a few times, then turned the screen toward me. "Camera view from down there." I looked. The image showed a hallway I recognized from yesterday's panel work. Concrete floor, exposed pipes overhead, caged storage units along one wall. The boiler room door sat at the far end, closed. Everything looked blurry, kind of washed out. The camera was one of those cheap district-issue dome units they installed 5 years ago and never upgraded. "Can't see much," I said. "Yeah." Wayne pocketed the phone. "I'm thinking maybe an animal got in through a vent. Raccoon, possum, something that size. Would trip the sensor, then slip back out before morning." I thought about that. Could happen. "Right." He wrote something in his notebook, then looked up. "Just wanted to give you a heads up in case you're working down there today. Don't want you running into a pissed-off raccoon." "Appreciate it." Wayne checked his watch. "I'll be over at the portables this afternoon if you need me. Radio's on." "Sounds good." He headed out through the main entrance, pulling the door shut behind him. I heard his sedan start up in the parking lot. I stood there with my toolbox, thinking. The basement doors stayed locked. Wayne had confirmed that this morning. And the vents down there, I'd spent yesterday afternoon staring at conduit and ductwork while I traced circuits. Most of the ventilation ran through 8-inch ducting, maybe 10-inch in a couple spots. Too small for a raccoon. Too small for anything bigger than a rat, really. My phone buzzed. Text from Ember. Wayne sent alarm note. "Ignore it. Focus on leak and air handlers. Summer program starts 6:19. I texted back. Leak's done. Air handlers signed off yesterday. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Good. Move to boiler room clearance. Email me when complete." I pocketed my phone and picked up my toolbox. The thing was, I didn't love the idea of leaving something unexplained in a building where kids would be running around in 2 weeks. Probably nothing. Wayne was right, probably just a faulty sensor, but probably wasn't the same as definitely, and I'd worked district maintenance long enough to know that small problems became big problems if you ignored them. I grabbed the flashlight from my truck and headed for the basement. The stairwell door was propped open with a rubber wedge. I'd left it that way yesterday for easier access. I pulled the wedge free and let the door swing shut behind me. The temperature dropped about 10 degrees between the first floor and the landing. By the time I hit the bottom step, I could see my breath. Basement smell hit me right away. Stale mop water, mildew, that specific concrete and rust combination you get in old mechanical spaces. I clicked the flashlight on even though the overhead fluorescents were running. The lights down here were spaced too far apart, and half of them flickered. I swept the flashlight beam across the hallway. Wire cages, storage boxes, exposed pipes. Same as yesterday, nothing obviously different. Then I saw the footprints. They started about 10 feet from the boiler room door. Damp marks on the concrete, dark gray against lighter gray. I walked closer, clear enough to show toes. I crouched down, holding the flashlight at an angle. Definitely footprints, barefoot, looked like. Adult-sized, maybe a men's 9 or 10. The edges were a little blurred, but you could make out the ball of the foot, the arch, 5 toes. I followed them with the flashlight beam. They led away from the boiler room, heading toward the east corridor, toward the stairwell that connected to the boys' locker room. I stood up and walked alongside them, careful not to step on any. There were maybe 8 or 9 prints total, spaced like someone walking at a normal pace. Not running, not sneaking, just walking. The prints got fainter as they went, like whoever made them was drying off as they moved. By the time I reached the locker room stairwell, they were barely visible. I aimed the flashlight at the bottom step. The last print sat right there. Clear toes, clear arch, then nothing. The steps above were dry. I climbed up 3 steps, checking each one. Completely dry. I came back down and checked the hallway in the other direction. No prints leading anywhere else. Just the trail from the boiler room to the stairwell, ending at that bottom step. I stood there for a minute, playing the flashlight beam across the concrete, trying to make it make sense. Someone had been down here, barefoot, walking from the boiler room toward the locker room stairs. Then either they'd dried off completely in the span of 1 step, or they'd just stopped existing. Neither option felt great. I checked the boiler room door. Locked, same as yesterday. I tried the handle anyway. Didn't budge. The door was solid steel with an institutional deadbolt, the kind that needed a key from both sides. I pulled my district keyring out and unlocked it. The boiler room looked exactly how I'd left it yesterday afternoon. 2 ancient boilers squatting against the far wall, pressure gauges and valve wheels, concrete floor bone dry. I checked behind the boilers, checked the corners, checked the small mechanical closet in the back. Nothing. No wet spots, no footprints, no sign anyone had been in here. I locked up and headed back to the stairwell. The footprints were already starting to fade. Give it another hour and they'd probably be gone completely. I took the stairs up to the first floor and radioed Wayne. "Yeah, go ahead," his voice crackled back. "You still at the portables?" "Just finishing up. Need something?" "Can you swing back to the main building? Want to show you something?" Pause. "Everything okay?" "Yeah, just want a second opinion on something." "Be there in 5. I met him at the main entrance. He had his notebook out again, pen ready. "What's going on?" he said. "Basement. Come look." We went down together. I led him to the footprints, aimed my flashlight at the clearest one. Wayne crouched down, same as I had. He didn't say anything for a few seconds. "Footprints," he said finally. "Yeah." He followed them with his eyes toward the locker room stairwell, stood up, Walked over, checked the bottom step. Came back. "Probably just some kid," he said. I waited. "Trespassing," Wayne continued. "Happens every summer. They sneak in, mess around, sneak back out." "Summer school hasn't started yet," I said. "Right, but there's always a couple who want to break in for the thrill of it. Dumb teenager stuff." "Exterior doors are alarmed," I said. "You checked them this morning. Everything was locked. No alerts except the basement motion sensor." Wayne frowned. He looked at the footprints again. "Could have slipped in yesterday while we had the loading dock open," he said. "Hid down here overnight, triggered the sensor, then left this morning while I was doing my walkthrough upstairs." "Barefoot," I said. "Kids do weird stuff." I didn't argue. Wayne was working the problem the way he'd been trained to work it. Find the most logical explanation, file the report, move on. And maybe he was right. Maybe some kid had snuck in yesterday, spent the night in the basement for some reason, walked around barefoot because teenagers are idiots. But the footprints started at the boiler room, and the boiler room had been locked. "You want me to file an incident report?" Wayne asked. "Up to you." He pulled out his phone, took a couple pictures of the prints. "I'll document it. Probably nothing, but better to have it on record." "Yeah." Wayne headed back upstairs. I heard the stairwell door close behind him. I stood there in the basement for another minute, looking at the footprints. They were definitely fainter now. Another hour, and there'd be nothing to see. I clicked off my flashlight and went back to work. I figured I should check the boys' locker room. The footprints had ended at that stairwell, so maybe there was something up there worth seeing. Wayne was still around. I radioed him and asked if he had a minute to take a look upstairs with me. He said sure, he'd meet me at the east corridor. We took the stairs up together. The locker room door was unlocked, standard during maintenance periods, and Wayne pushed it open first. I followed him in with my phone already in hand, flashlight app ready just in case. The place looked exactly how you'd expect a high school locker room to look in early June. Rows of wooden benches bolted to the tile floor, white subway tile on the walls, some of it cracked or chipped near the baseboards. A couple of forgotten towels wadded up in the corner by the showers. Faint smell of chlorine and old sweat that never really goes away, no matter how much they clean. Wayne walked down the center aisle between the benches, looking left and right. I stayed a few steps behind, scanning the room. Nothing jumped out. No wet footprints on the tile. No obvious signs anyone had been through here recently. "Looks fine," Wayne said. He stopped near the far end, hands on his hips, doing that thing where he tilted his head slightly like he was listening for something. I kept looking. Checked the shower stalls. Dry. Checked the bathroom stalls along the back wall. Doors all open, nothing inside. Checked the coach's office in the corner. Locked, window dark. Then I looked at the lockers. There were 2 long rows of them running parallel down the left side of the room. Standard metal gym lockers, painted that grayish-blue color that every school seems to use. Vents at the top. Combination locks dangling from some of the latches where kids had left them over summer break. One door didn't sit right. It was about halfway down the row. The door bowed inward slightly, like someone had pushed hard against it from the outside. Except that didn't make sense because the dent curved the wrong way. The metal bent inward, yeah, but the force looked like it came from inside the locker. "Wayne," I said. He turned and walked over. I pointed at the door. He crouched down to get a better angle, then stood back up. "Huh? That look normal to you?" "Not really." He reached out and gripped the edge of the door, then pulled. The latch popped open way too easily, no resistance, like it had been busted from the inside and barely held closed at all. That felt wrong immediately. I don't know how else to describe it, just wrong. Wayne pulled the door all the way open and stepped back. I turned on my phone's flashlight and leaned in. The back panel had scratches. Not random scratches. Tight circular marks clustered together in overlapping spirals. Someone, or something, had scraped through the paint and into the bare metal underneath. The marks were deep, deliberate, like fingernails had dug in and spun in place over and over trying to get purchase. I moved the light slowly across the surface. The scratches covered an area about the size of a dinner plate, right in the center of the back panel. And they didn't stop there. They continued down into the seam where two panels met, concentrated along the edge like whatever made them had been trying to pry the crack wider. Wayne leaned in next to me, close enough that I could hear him breathing. "What the hell?" he said quietly. I didn't say anything. I just kept the light steady and stared at the marks. They were methodical. That's the part that got me. Not wild or frantic, just round and round and round, wearing the metal down bit by bit. "Could be a prank," Wayne said after a minute. He didn't sound convinced. "Maybe. Kid gets in here, locks himself in the locker, scratches it up to freak people out." "Sure." I pulled back and turned off the flashlight. Wayne closed the locker door. It didn't latch properly anymore, just hung there, slightly ajar. "I'll file an incident note," Wayne said. He already had his notebook out, flipping to a new page. "Get a patrol car to swing by tonight, check the building." "Yeah." "Good." He started writing. I stood there looking at the locker, then at the rows of benches, then back at the locker. The scratches sat high. That's what bothered me. They were close to adult eye level, right in the center of the back panel. If a kid had climbed inside and scratched the wall, they'd probably do it lower, down where their hands naturally fell when they were crouched or sitting, not up at shoulder height. Wayne finished writing and clicked his pen. "I'll email this to Ember and copy the district office. Probably nothing, but better to document it." "Right. You good to lock up today? I need to get to the admin building before 5. "Yeah, I'm good." Wayne left. I heard his footsteps echo down the hallway, then the stairwell door open and close. I stayed in the locker room another minute, just standing there. Then I checked the door one more time, shined my light inside one more time, and left. I locked up the building at 4:15, checked all the exits myself, tested the main entrance twice, and walked to my truck. The whole drive home, I kept thinking about those scratches. Tight circles, deep grooves, high on the panel. I got home around 5, ate leftover pizza, watched part of a game on TV. Didn't really pay attention. My phone sat on the coffee table and I kept glancing at it, half expecting Wayne to text with an update. He didn't. At 10:30, I went to bed. Fell asleep fine, no problem. The call came at 12:47. I know because I checked my phone when it started buzzing on the nightstand. Ember's name on the screen. I sat up and answered. "Hello? Barry?" Her voice was clipped, irritated. "Did you touch the intercom system today?" I blinked, trying to wake up fully. "What? No. Are you sure?" "Yeah, I'm sure. I didn't go near it. Why?" She exhaled sharply. "The intercom turned on tonight. After midnight, played static for about 30 seconds, then a voice came through asking if anyone was in the building. I didn't say anything for a second, just processed that." "What kind of voice?" "Wayne's voice," Ember said, or something that sounded like him. "The district monitoring service flagged it and called me 20 minutes ago. They pulled the audio log." "Wayne's working tonight?" "No. He clocked out at 4:30. I already called him. He's at home." I sat there in the dark, phone pressed to my ear, fully awake now. The voice asked if anyone was in the building. Ember repeated. Exact words. "Is anyone in the building?" Then the intercom cut off. "Did they send someone to check?" "Patrol cars on the way. Should be there in 10 minutes. She paused. "I need you to go in tomorrow and check the intercom panel. Make sure it's not malfunctioning. Last thing we need is a faulty system triggering false alerts 2 weeks before summer programs start." "Yeah, I'll check it first thing. Email me when it's done." "Will do." She hung up. I sat there holding my phone, staring at the dark shape of my dresser across the room. The intercom turned on by itself, played static, then asked if anyone was in the building, in Wayne's voice, while Wayne was at home. I put the phone back on the nightstand and lay down, but I didn't close my eyes. Just stared at the ceiling, thinking about barefoot prints that started from a locked room, scratches inside a locker, a voice that shouldn't have been there. I didn't sleep much after that. Ember called back at 7:15 that morning. I was already up, hadn't really slept anyway, sitting at my kitchen table with coffee I hadn't touched yet. Monitoring company reviewed the audio, she said. No greeting. They're calling it a wiring glitch. Old systems do that. Static buildup, crossed signal, whatever. Point is, it's not a security issue. I opened my mouth, but she kept going. I want you to add a PA check to today's work, just to document it. But Barry, I need you to stay on schedule. Summer programs start in 12 days, and we're already behind on the gym clearance. The intercom said, I read the report. It said words. Static says words sometimes. Our brains fill in patterns. Her tone sharpened a little. You're creating extra work. The leak, the air handlers, the boiler room. Those are your priorities. Not phantom voices and teenager pranks. Phantom voices. That's what she called it. I'll check the PA, I said. Email me when it's done. And Barry, let's keep this building on track, okay? She hung up. I sat there another minute. Then I texted Randy Bush, district electrician, asked if he could swing by Roosevelt this morning to look at the intercom rack. Randy's good with old systems. Patient. Doesn't jump to conclusions, but also doesn't ignore weird behavior in equipment that shouldn't be doing anything at all. He texted back at 7:23. Can do. 9 work? I replied yes. Randy pulled up at exactly 9 in a white district van with Tool decals peeling off the side. I met him in the parking lot. He's 52, compact build, salt and pepper hair cut short, rectangular work glasses that always sit a little crooked. He wore coveralls and carried a meter bag over one shoulder. Heard you got ghosts, he said. Heard you're full of it, I said. He grinned. Old buildings, man. Voices show up in the wrong places all the time. Return vents, ductwork, intercom lines picking up radio interference. Once had a gym PA playing someone's cell phone conversation for 20 minutes. Nobody in the building. Yeah, yep. Turned out to be a busted ground and a frequency overlap with a trucker's CB 2 blocks away. He hefted the meter bag. Still gonna treat your wiring like it can misbehave, though. That's the job. We walked to the main entrance. Wayne had already unlocked and finished his morning rounds, left me a note on the front desk that said nothing overnight. All clear. I pocketed it. The main office sat just past the front desk, behind a half wall with a sliding window. I unlocked it and flipped the lights. The PA cabinet hung on the wall near the copy machine, a beige metal box about 2 feet tall with a keyed front panel. I'd seen it 100 times, never paid attention. Randy set his bag down and opened the cabinet with the district master. The door swung wide and we both leaned in, tangled, that's the word. Old wiring, probably original to the 80s, bundled with zip ties that had gone brittle and snapped. Wires snaked from the amplifier at the top down to terminal blocks at the bottom, some labeled in faded marker, most not. The amplifier itself was a brick-sized unit with a green power light and 3 toggle switches. Dust caked the ventilation slots. No burn marks, Randy said, running a finger along one wire bundle. No corrosion on the terminals I can see. Doesn't smell like anything cooked. I watched him pull a multimeter from his bag and clip leads to the first terminal block. You said it activated after midnight? He asked, eyes on the meter display. 12:47. Monitoring company flagged it. And it played static, then a voice. That's what Ember said. Voice asked if anyone was in the building. Randy glanced at me, then back at the meter. Sounded like who? Wayne. But Wayne was home. Huh. He moved the leads to another terminal. Could be a dozen things. Cross line, feedback loop, RF interference. Hell, could be the amps failing and pulling snippets from earlier recordings if the system has a log function. Does it? He squinted at the amplifier. This model? Nah, too old. No memory. Just takes input and pushes it to the speakers. He tested 3 more terminals, wrote something in a small notebook he kept clipped to his chest pocket, then flipped the toggles on the amp one by one. Each one clicked. Nothing else happened. "System's off right now," he said. "You want me to turn it on and try to reproduce it?" I thought about that. "Can you test it without broadcasting?" "Not really. It's a PA system. It broadcasts or it doesn't." He tapped the amp casing. "I can try triggering it from the panel, see if anything weird happens." "Go ahead." He flipped the main toggle to on. The green light stayed solid. He pressed a small black button labeled Test, and static hissed from somewhere down the hall, faint and crackling. Then silence. "Normal," Randy said. He pressed it again. Same static, same silence. He tried it 4 more times. Nothing changed. While Randy kept testing, I stepped out of the office and walked the main hallway. The static had come from ceiling-mounted speakers, old cone units behind metal grills. I counted 6 of them just in this corridor. I passed the trophy case near the north stairwell. Slowed down. There was a smudge inside the glass. Dark. Roughly circular, maybe the size of a fist, sitting on the shelf next to a dusty basketball from some championship season I didn't care about. I stopped and leaned closer. It didn't look like dirt, more like a shadow. But shadows don't sit on shelves. I rubbed the outside of the glass with my thumb. The smudge didn't move. I crouched a little, changed my angle. The spot shifted, just slightly, like it was on a deeper surface behind the front pane, or maybe between layers if the case had double glazing. I pressed my forehead close to the glass and squinted. The smudge sat inside, definitely. On the back panel or on one of the objects. But when I moved my head left, it seemed to slide right. When I moved right, it slid left. That didn't make sense. I straightened up, blinked, looked again, still there, still wrong. "Barry?" I turned. Randy stood in the office doorway, meter bag on his shoulder. "Find something?" he asked. I glanced back at the case. Thought I saw a smudge. Probably nothing. He walked over, looked where I'd been looking, shrugged. "I see a basketball and some plaques." I looked again. The smudge was fainter now. Or maybe the light had changed. I wasn't sure. "Yeah," I said. "Never mind." Back in the office, Randy packed up his tools and gave me the rundown. "Can't reproduce the activation," he said. "Tested every terminal, checked continuity on the main lines, looked for shorts or weak insulation. Everything reads normal. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just means I can't make it happen again." "So what do we do?" "Honestly? Replace the amp. It's old, it's got dust in the vents, and even if it's working now, it's on borrowed time. But that's a purchase order, approval from Ember, and probably a week to get the part in." I nodded. "What do I do until then?" Randy thought for a second. "You could shut it down overnight, kill the breaker. System can't activate if it's got no power." That made sense. Simple. Practical. "Where's the breaker?" I asked. "Telecom closet, probably. These old systems usually share a panel with the phones and data lines. You got a key?" I did. The telecom closet sat on the 2nd floor, east wing, next to the counseling office. We headed up there together. Randy didn't need to come, but I got the feeling he wanted to see it through. The closet was narrow, barely a closet, more like a deep shelf with a door. Inside, a breaker panel on the left, a patch panel for phone lines on the right, and a mess of Ethernet cables stapled to the back wall. Randy opened the panel and traced his finger down the circuit labels. Half of them were blank. The other half were written in faded pencil and didn't match what they actually powered. Typical. "This one," he said, tapping a breaker labeled Office MISC. "Bet you $10 that's your PA." I'm not taking that bet. He grinned and flipped it off. Done. No power to the amp until you flip it back. Thanks, Randy. No problem. He closed the panel and wiped his hands on his coveralls. Let me know if it tries anything else. He left around 10:30. I watched his van pull out of the lot and disappear down the street. Wayne found me just after lunch. I was in the gym checking exit signs, making notes on my clipboard. He walked in from the main hallway, radio on his chest, notebook in hand. Got the report back from last night, he said. I set the clipboard down. Yeah? Officer Hansen checked the campus at 1:15, walked the perimeter, checked all the doors, looked in the windows with her flashlight, found nothing. No signs of entry, no movement, no vehicles. Building was locked and quiet. She go inside? No cause to. Doors were secure, alarms were clean except the intercom flag. She documented it and cleared the call. I nodded. That was procedure. Nothing wrong with it. Wayne shifted his weight, glanced up at the rafters. You checked the PA yet? Randy came by, tested the whole system. Couldn't reproduce the activation. We shut it down at the breaker just in case. Good, Wayne said. He looked at the ceiling again, at the vents running between the old rafters. I followed his gaze. What? Nothing. He shook his head. Just, you ever notice how sound moves in here? Echoes weird. Comes from places it shouldn't. I had noticed. Old gyms do that. But I didn't say anything. Wayne looked back at me. Anyway, report's filed. Ember's got a copy. We're good. Yeah. He nodded once and walked back toward the hallway. I watched him go. Then I looked up at the vents again. Dark rectangular slots in the ductwork, spaced 10 feet apart, running the length of the gym. I stared at them for a while. Then I went back to work. Randy left around 10:30. I thanked him for coming out. He said no problem and to call if anything else weird happened. I watched his van pull out of the lot. Wayne's note was still in my pocket. All clear. I figured I'd finish what I came here to do. The leak was done. Air handlers signed off. Boiler room next. But first I wanted to double-check the repair in the boys' locker room. Make sure the valve I replaced yesterday was holding and there wasn't any slow drip I'd missed. Probably paranoid. But the building was making me paranoid. I grabbed my toolbox from the truck and headed inside. The east corridor was quiet. Half the lights still off to save power. I took the stairs up to the locker room, pushed through the door. Same smell. Chlorine and old sweat baked into tile that had never come clean no matter how much bleach the janitors used. The repair was fine. Valve dry. No moisture on the floor. I crouched and ran my hand along the pipe joint. Solid. Not even a bead of condensation. I stood and wiped my palms on my pants. That's when I heard it. Soft tapping, metal on metal, coming from the far wall where the lockers were. I turned and listened. Tap, pause, tap, tap, pause, tap. It moved. Started on the left side of the row and traveled right. One locker to the next. Slow and deliberate. The sound reminded me of someone dragging a fingernail along the outside of each door as they walked past. Except nobody was walking. I stood there with my toolbox in one hand, staring at the row of lockers. The tapping continued. Locker to locker, getting closer to the dented one in the middle. When it reached that locker, it stopped. I waited, counted to 10 in my head. Nothing. Then I did something stupid. I walked over and knocked once on the dented door. The sound echoed in the empty room. Louder than I expected. I waited. The tapping didn't start again. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding and turned back toward the door. That's when the ceiling speaker clicked on. The static hiss came first, then a voice. "Barry, stop wasting time down there and get upstairs. You're behind schedule." I froze. It sounded like Ember. Same clipped tone, same impatience. But the intercom system was supposed to be off. Randy had left the breaker in the off position. We'd agreed on that before he left, and Ember didn't call me Barry. She used my last name when she was annoyed. Haynes, not Barry. The speaker clicked again. The static shifted, grew thicker. Then my own voice came through. "The real leak's behind that locker. You know it is. Open it up. Check the seam. That's where it's coming from." My voice, my cadence, my maintenance guy phrasing, but I wasn't saying it. I backed toward the door. Didn't turn around. Kept my eyes on the speaker mounted in the ceiling above the lockers. My hand found the door handle, and I pulled it open, stepped into the hallway, let it swing shut behind me. I pulled my radio off my belt and pressed the button. "Wayne, you still on campus?" Static for a second. Then his voice, calm and real. "Yeah, just finished the portables. What's up?" "Can you come to the east corridor? Second floor, boys' locker room. You find something?" Yeah. "Can you come down? Be there in 2. I clipped the radio back and stood in the hallway with my back against the wall opposite the locker room door. My heart was doing something it shouldn't. Too fast. Too hard. I heard Wayne's boots on the stairs before I saw him. He came around the corner with his keys jangling on the retractable cord and his radio in one hand. "What's going on?" "I heard something. In there." I nodded at the door. "Tapping. On the lockers." Wayne's expression didn't change. "Tapping. Yeah. Moving from one to the next. Then it stopped and the PA came on. I thought Randy shut it off. He did. Breakers off. I watched him do it." Wayne looked at the door, then back at me. What did it say? First, it sounded like Ember. Told me to stop wasting time. Then it sounded like me. Told me to open the dented locker because the real leak's behind it. Wayne's jaw tightened. He didn't say anything for a few seconds. Then he unclipped his flashlight from his belt and pushed the locker room door open. "Stay here, Wayne." But he was already inside. I followed. Couldn't just stand in the hallway. Wayne walked straight to the row of lockers, flashlight up, scanning left to right. He stopped in front of the dented one and looked back at me. "This the one?" "Yeah." He reached for the door. That's when the tapping started again. Louder this time. Not one locker. Multiple. All along the wall. Fast and irregular. Like 10 people drumming their knuckles on metal at once. Wayne's hand jerked back. He looked at the row, then at me. "You hearing that?" "Yeah." The tapping got louder, harder. Some of the doors rattled in their frames. Wayne grabbed the handle of the dented locker and yanked it open. "Wayne, don't..." But he was already leaning in, shining his flashlight through the scratched seam in the back panel where the mark spiraled tight and deep. The door slammed shut. Not swung. Slammed. Hard and fast with a metallic bang that rang through the whole room. Wayne stumbled back, nearly tripped over the bench behind him. His flashlight hit the floor and rolled. The tapping stopped. Everything stopped. Wayne stared at the locker. His chest was moving fast. He looked at me, then back at the door. That door was open. I was holding it. I know. It slammed shut. I know. Wayne picked up his flashlight. His hand was shaking a little. He didn't try to open the locker again. We stood there for maybe 10 seconds. Didn't say anything. Just listened. The room was completely silent now. No tapping, no PA static. Just the faint hum of the building's HVAC key somewhere overhead. Wayne's radio crackled. Dispatch asking for a status check on something unrelated. He answered, voice steady. Said he was clear. Then he looked at me. "We're calling this in." The door didn't miss. Wayne had the handle. I saw his fingers wrapped around it, his other hand braced on the frame. He was leaning in with the flashlight beam cutting through the scratched seam in the back panel when the door slammed. It caught his shoulder. Hard. The sound was sharp and wrong. Not a swing, a slam, like something shoved it from inside with force behind it. Wayne stumbled back. His flashlight hit the floor again and the beam rolled across tile. He grabbed his shoulder with his other hand and his face went tight. I asked if he was okay. He didn't answer right away, just stood there holding his shoulder and breathing hard through his nose. Then he stepped forward and grabbed the locker handle again. I don't know why. Maybe to prove something. Maybe because Wayne doesn't leave things unfinished. The second his palm touched the metal, he jerked back and swore. His hand came away red, not bleeding, red like a burn. The skin across his palm was already swelling in a curve that matched the handle exactly. I could see the shape of it, the contact mark. Clean edges like someone pressed a heated rod against his skin and held it there. Wayne held his hand up between us. The redness was spreading into his fingers. I asked if it burned him. He nodded. His jaw was clenched and his voice came out tight. He said the metal was hot. Not warm. Hot. I looked at the locker. The door hung slightly open from when Wayne had grabbed it the second time. The handle looked normal. Dull gray painted metal. Nothing glowing. Nothing smoking. Wayne backed toward the exit. He told me we were leaving. I didn't argue. We got into the hallway and I pulled the door shut behind us. The second it closed, the tapping stopped. Complete silence. Wayne leaned against the wall across from the locker room door. He was still holding his hand and his breathing hadn't slowed. I could see sweat on his forehead even though the hallway was cold. I asked if he wanted me to get ice. He shook his head. He said we needed to call it in. Now. Then the PA clicked. The sound came from the ceiling speaker 10 feet down the hall. A soft mechanical click like someone flipping a switch. Static hissed through, low and steady, then crying. Not loud, not sobbing, just low, wet crying. The kind that sounds like it's been going for a long time and there's nothing left but the reflex of it. It didn't sound like it was coming from the speaker. It sounded like it was coming from behind the speaker, deep inside the ductwork, like someone was sitting in the walls and we were hearing them through a crack. Wayne looked at me. His face had gone pale. The crying continued. Same rhythm, same pitch. It didn't change or stop or get louder. I asked Wayne if Randy had really turned the PA off. Wayne said yes. He'd been there. He'd seen Randy flip the breaker. I believed him. The crying kept going. Wayne pushed off the wall and unclipped his radio. His hand was shaking a little. The burned one. He keyed the mic with his other hand and called Randy. Randy answered in 3 seconds. His voice came through clear and normal. He asked what was up. Wayne told him to get to the main building, East Corridor, 2nd floor, now. Randy said he was at the portables. He'd be there in 2 minutes. Wayne clipped the radio. The crying was still coming through the speaker, steady and low and wrong. I suggested we go downstairs and wait for Randy there. Wayne agreed. We took the stairs fast. I kept my hand on the rail and watched the steps. Wayne was ahead of me, favoring his shoulder and holding his burned palm against his chest. When we reached the 1st floor hallway, the crying cut off. Just stopped. Mid-sound. The speaker above us stayed silent. We waited at the base of the stairs. Wayne leaned against the wall again, and I stood a few feet away watching the hallway in both directions. Nothing moved. The lights were on, half of them anyway. The fluorescents hummed. Randy came through the main entrance less than a minute later. He had his meter bag over one shoulder and his work glasses sitting crooked on his nose. He looked between us and asked what happened. Wayne held up his hand. Randy stopped walking. He stared at Wayne's palm. The burn was worse now. The whole center of his hand was red and starting to blister in a line that curved exactly like the locker handle. Randy asked, "What the hell did that?" Wayne said the locker door. Randy looked at me. I confirmed it. I told him the door slammed into Wayne's shoulder, and when Wayne grabbed the handle, it burned him. The metal was hot. Randy set his meter bag down. He walked closer and looked at Wayne's hand without touching it. After a few seconds, he said that was a second-degree contact burn, and Wayne needed to run cold water on it and probably go to urgent care. Wayne said not yet. He said the PA turned back on. He said we heard crying coming through the speakers even though Randy had shut the system off. Randy's expression changed. He adjusted his glasses and asked if we were sure. I told him we were sure. The breaker was off, and the PA played anyway. Randy looked up at the ceiling speaker above us. He was quiet for maybe 5 seconds. Then he said we needed to cut power to the whole building. Wayne hesitated. He said emergency lighting policy required. Randy interrupted. He said, "Fuck the policy." He said something in this building was pulling power from somewhere, and until we killed every circuit, we wouldn't know what was active and what wasn't. Wayne looked at me. I told him Randy was right. Wayne nodded. He pulled his keys off the retractable cord with his good hand and told us the main electrical room was in the basement, west side. We went together. The basement was the same as it had been before. Cold, damp, concrete floors and exposed pipes overhead. The electrical room was behind a gray metal door with a small wire-reinforced window. Wayne unlocked it and pushed the door open. Randy went in first. I followed. Wayne stayed in the doorway holding his burned hand against his chest. The room had 2 walls of breaker panels, old ones. The labels were faded and half of them didn't match the circuits anymore. Randy pulled a small flashlight from his chest pocket and started reading labels. He told us to kill everything except emergency lighting first. Then if that didn't work, we'd kill those too. Wayne asked what about the alarms. Randy said the alarms ran on battery backup. They'd stay active. Wayne nodded. Randy flipped the first breaker. A chunk of the overhead fluorescence in the basement went dark. He flipped 3 more. The hallway lights cut out, and the only thing left was the dim glow from the emergency units mounted near the exits. He kept going, section by section. HVAC, office circuits, gym lighting, hallway outlets. When he flipped the PA breaker, the crying started again. Not from the basement, from upstairs. We all heard it, faint but clear, coming from the direction of the main entrance. Randy looked at the breaker in his hand. It was down, off position. The crying continued. Randy said that shouldn't be possible. Wayne told him to kill the rest. Randy flipped the remaining breakers one after another. The last of the basement lights went out. The only thing left was the green glow from the emergency exit signs and the battery-powered units casting weak yellow light every 30 feet. The crying stopped. We stood there in the near dark. Randy's flashlight beam cut across the breaker panel. Wayne was breathing hard again. I counted to 10 in my head. Then the crying came back. Same location, same sound, low and wet and coming from deep inside something. Randy said we needed to leave. Wayne agreed. We left the electrical room and Wayne locked it behind us. The basement hallway was darker now with only emergency lights. Our shadows stretched long and wrong on the concrete. We took the north stairwell up to the first floor. The main hallway was dim and cold. Half the emergency lights were burned out and the ones that worked barely lit 10 feet in any direction. I looked at the trophy case as we passed it. I stopped walking. The smudge wasn't a smudge anymore. It was a handprint. A full handprint pressed against the inside of the glass. Palm flat, fingers spread. But the proportions were wrong. The fingers were too long. The joints bent at angles that didn't match a human hand. The palm was narrow, and the thumb curved backward. I stared at it. I couldn't look away. Wayne asked what I was doing. I pointed at the case. He walked over. Randy followed. Wayne leaned close to the glass. He didn't say anything for a few seconds. Then he asked if I saw that. I said yes. Randy asked what we were looking at. I told him the handprint, inside the glass. Randy squinted and adjusted his glasses. He said he saw it. The print hadn't been there this morning. I checked the case after Randy tested the PA. There'd been a smudge, just a smudge. Now there was this. Wayne backed away from the case. He said we were leaving. Now. We walked toward the main entrance. The double doors were 30 feet ahead. The crying had stopped again, but I could still hear it in my head. Wayne reached the doors first. He pushed the handle. It didn't move. He pushed again. Harder. Nothing. Wayne pulled his keys and tried to unlock the door manually. The key went in, but when he turned it, the lock didn't click. He tried again. Same result. Randy suggested the power cut disabled the magnetic locks. Wayne said the locks were fail-safe. They defaulted to unlocked when power dropped. He tried the door again. It didn't budge. Wayne's radio crackled. His own voice came through. "West corridor. Try the west exit." But the voice was wrong. It lagged. Like it was playing back half a second late. Like someone had recorded Wayne talking and was feeding it through the radio with a delay. Wayne dropped the radio. It hit the floor, and the speaker kept playing. "West exit, try the west!" Wayne crushed it under his boot. The plastic cracked and the voice cut off. Randy said we should try the west exit anyway. I agreed. We turned and headed down the west corridor. It was darker here, only 2 emergency lights and one of them was flickering. Halfway down the hall, I heard my name. Whispered, soft. Barry. It came from a vent in the ceiling, 10 feet ahead on the left. It sounded like Wayne. I looked at Wayne. He was beside me. His mouth was closed. The vent whispered again. "Barry, stop." I kept walking. I grabbed Wayne's good arm and pulled him forward. Randy was ahead of us. He stopped at the auditorium doors and pushed one open. He said we could cut through to the south exit. We went inside. The auditorium was huge and dark. Rows of seats stretched back into shadow. The stage sat empty at the far end. The air smelled wrong, like damp concrete, like a basement. Randy turned on his flashlight and swept it across the seats. The beam hit the first few rows and their edges lit up normal. Vinyl backs, metal frames. Then the beam hit a section in the middle. The light didn't reflect. It just stopped. Like something was sitting there blocking it. Something that didn't bounce light back. Randy held the beam steady. The section stayed dark. He moved the flashlight left. The rows lit up normal. He moved it back to the center. Dark. Wayne said we weren't going through the auditorium. Randy agreed. We backed out. The door swung shut behind us and the smell of damp concrete faded. A speaker overhead clicked. The sound of a door unlocking played through, clean and clear. The metallic chunk click of a magnetic lock disengaging. It came from the direction of the main entrance. Wayne ran. I called after him, but he was already halfway down the hall. Randy and I followed. Wayne hit the main entrance doors at full speed and shoved. They didn't open. He pounded on the glass with his good hand. He kicked the base. He threw his shoulder into it. The doors stayed locked. I reached him and pulled him back. I told him it was a trick. The sound was fake. Wayne's chest was heaving. His eyes were wide and his burned hand was shaking. Behind us, the trophy case glass started to fog. From the inside, condensation spread across the pane in seconds. Thick and wet like someone breathing on it from behind. Then a shape pressed against it. Not a hand this time. Something larger, wider. It pushed the glass outward and the whole case creaked. I looked around. The hallway, the doors, the emergency exit signs. The fire alarm was on the wall near the office. A red pull station with a white handle. I ran for it. Randy shouted something behind me, but I didn't stop. I grabbed the handle and pulled down hard. The alarm blared, high and piercing and loud enough to rattle the glass in the trophy case. The magnetic locks clicked. All of them. I heard it. A chain of mechanical chunks running down the hall as every security lock disengaged at once. The main entrance doors swung open 6 inches. Behind me, the trophy case cracked. A spiderweb fracture spread across the glass, and the whole frame bowed inward like something was pulling it from behind. I ran back to Wayne and shoved him toward the doors. He stumbled through. Randy was right behind him. I followed and hit the parking lot at a full run. The alarm kept blaring inside. The sound followed us across the asphalt. We didn't stop until we reached Wayne's sedan. Wayne leaned against the hood. His face was gray and his burned hand was pressed against his chest. Randy bent over with his hands on his knees, trying to catch his breath. I turned and looked back at the building. The main entrance doors hung open. The alarm blared. Through the windows, I could see the dim glow of emergency lighting and nothing else. We waited. The fire trucks arrived 11 minutes later. Engine first, ladder truck right behind. Amanda Johnson stepped down from the cab in full turnout gear with a white captain's helmet. She walked over and asked which one of us pulled the alarm. I said I did. She asked if there was a fire. I said no. She asked why I pulled it. I didn't know how to answer that. Wayne said the building wasn't safe. He said the doors wouldn't unlock and we needed to get out. Amanda looked at his hand. She asked what happened. Wayne said he burned it on a locker. She told one of her crew to get the med kit. Then she asked if anyone else was inside. We all said no. Amanda sent her crew in anyway. They went through the main entrance with flashlights and radios, and we stood in the parking lot watching. They were inside for maybe 20 minutes. When they came out, Amanda walked back over. She said they found the cracked trophy case. She said they found a basement door that looked like something hit it from the inside, hard enough to dent the metal. She asked what the hell happened in there. None of us answered. Amanda told us the building was clear. No fire. No hazards. She said someone from the district needed to file a report and get the power restored. Wayne said he'd call it in. Amanda told him to get his hand looked at first. Then she and her crew packed up and left. We stayed in the parking lot until Ember arrived 40 minutes later. She parked next to Wayne's sedan and got out holding her phone. She looked at the 3 of us and asked what happened. Wayne tried to explain. He started with the locker and the tapping and the PA turning on when it shouldn't. His voice was unsteady and he kept losing the thread. Ember listened for maybe 30 seconds. Then she cut him off. She said the monitoring company flagged a fire alarm pull. She said the fire department found no emergency. She said Wayne's hand showed a contact burn consistent with touching a heated surface. She looked at me and asked if I checked the boiler room pressure before we cut power. I said no. She said an overpressure event in an old boiler system could superheat pipes and surfaces in connected spaces. She said it could also create steam hammer that sounded like tapping. She said electrical faults in old buildings caused feedback loops and phantom activations. Randy started to say something, but Ember kept talking. She said summer program started in 11 days. She said this building needed to be cleared, and we'd just blown the schedule. She said she was documenting this as an electrical fault pending contractor evaluation of the PA system and basement mechanical spaces. She told Wayne to go to urgent care and file for injury leave. She told Randy the district would collect his tools. She told me I was reassigned to Madison Elementary effective immediately. Then she got back in her car and left. Wayne's palm blistered bad enough that the clinic put him on light duty for 2 weeks. Randy refused to go back inside even to get his meter bag. A contractor crew collected it 3 days later along with my toolbox. Ember's report listed the incident as equipment malfunction with contributing factors of deferred maintenance and operator error. The work order stayed incomplete. Last I heard, the building was still waiting on a contractor to evaluate the basement and the PA system. I kept working. Madison Elementary, then Harrison Middle, then a rotation of small jobs across the district. I stopped checking vents when I heard voices. I learned that part fast. Buildings can mimic people. They can take a routine procedure and turn it into something else. And once you know that you don't go looking for explanations anymore, you just move.